Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the full moon. It's on August 9. It's at 17 degrees of Aquarius. The Lion's Gate lines up a day before this full moon, and that unprecedented talent triangle I've been talking about is lit up because Mars is forming a kite pattern, activating the energy. Yeah, that sounded like a lot. It's a lot, and that's what we're going to talk about. In unprecedented times, it's very important to be flexible and resilient, and this full moon in Aquarius gives you a chance to change directions while you're in motion. So this is the energy that I'm seeing for this full moon. It's that Mars is making a trine both to Uranus and to Pluto, and it's making that opposition to Saturn and Neptune, and that forms this kite configuration. So while you are doing all of the things that you're doing, and there are lots of things that you're doing, you can, say, shift one direction towards Uranus and do something completely unexpected, out of the box. Or you can shift towards Pluto and let go of something that's been holding you back, a vice, an attitude, a person, a project, and free yourself. Or you can meet Saturn and Neptune in the middle and actively work with someone else, maybe helping them. So putting aside your desires and your goals and really focusing on them. And as you do, you get the insights and spiritual healing that you need. And all of this comes down to the fact that what's most important right now is flexibility and resilience. And I was reading Seth Godin's blog, and he was talking about resilience and being able to move forward even though things haven't worked out. You know, that when things don't work out, that we try something else, and then we try something else, and we try something else. And that continual knocking at these different doors is what brings us opportunities. And if you would like to know more about what's ahead for you in 2025 and 2026, I do readings. I do all types of astrological readings. That means progressed readings, solar return readings, readings for compatibility, to start your business, for timing. So if you're interested, there's a link in the description. And then at the end of this video, we're going to continue talking about your money houses and how to find the hidden money in your chart. Okay, Sagittarius, this full moon lights up your area of communication and activities, while Mars activates the area of friendships and the future and new things that you could do in your life. So such an exciting time for you, because if you want adventure, you're going to have it, because this is that friends come into your life and they suggest things that are outside of maybe your comfort zone, but more likely outside the box. And so this is a time where you might take a spontaneous trip, where you could quickly fall in love, or that you may try a new activity that you find that you're quite good at and you've never done before. Now, when it comes to relationships, the energy is really interesting because there's no aspect going on between Mercury and Jupiter. However, Jupiter and Venus are in your house of intimacy, which could mean that you get someone who there's a lot of chemistry, physical chemistry, and you could come together very quickly, and then you find you don't have much else in common. So for your existing relationships, the energy is shifting a bit. So the two of you may come together for a romantic afternoon out of the blue and just have that kind of adventure that way. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Saturn, which is sitting opposite Mars. And the combination here is about determination and grit, almost to the point of exhaustion. And so you may feel a little bit tired at times during this 2-week period, just because you've been pushing, or you watch other people pushing so hard that you get tired just watching them. So, but this is more about focusing on those things where you can keep up a steady pace rather than going out at a full run. So if you want, what you could do is find others who want to, race in this direction or race in that direction for you. But what you need to be doing is building something that's solid, that lasts, which means going through the details and figuring out, what the contract should be, or what the sales copy should be, or how you approach money in general. Now, when it comes to business or investments, Jupiter and Venus say that more money is coming in, but you are doing a semi-square between Saturn and the Moon, and that indicates that there's some sort of hurdle that you have to get over. There's something you don't want to do that actually is going to lead to the money, and maybe it's reading through the contracts or getting that back office bug out of your website. You doing those important things but less fun things that don't look like they're going to lead to money, those are the things that lead to money. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's a paycheck, the energy is a bit unsettled. So you have good energy in the area of perks from a job, but if you are approaching someone directly about a raise and they're not approaching you, you may get some pushback. On the other hand, if they are knocking on your door to give you a job, to give you a promotion, to give you more money, then find a way to negotiate and you would be able to get more. So again, the energy is a little bit mixed. If you don't want to deal with this mixed energy, it will line up better in the future. Okay, in the third section of this video, there is a little tutorial, but first I have a couple of announcements, and one of those is about the tutorials themselves, and that is that as a member, you get direct access to these tutorials. You get them all, in a little series, and there are additional videos, deep dive videos, behind the scenes videos. And so if you're really interested in astrology, then consider joining. The join button is on YouTube. It's right by the subscribe button, and so I would love to have you as a member. And then, in case you don't know already, I give a free class every month. It is on the first day of the month. It's at 12 p.m. Pacific time. That is 3 p.m. Eastern time. That is 8 p.m. England time. I don't know what that is for Australia. I should find out. But in this class, we do an astrological overview of the month, and then we write our monthly wishes together. We pick what we're going to focus on for the month, and then we do a short meditation where we energize this all together, all of our lists. And this class lasts for about an hour. As I said, it is free. You can register for this class. There's a link in the description. So let's continue our discussion about finding the hidden money in your chart. And by the way, I do have a video course on this topic, and there is a link to that in the description. So we've talked about the second house for a couple of videos now, and so I'd like to start our discussion talking about the other houses, money houses in your chart. You have 4 total money houses in your chart, and the second house is the most important one, but the others do play an important role. So there's the 5th house, and the 5th house is about speculation and money derived from real estate. So if you're a person who's going to roll the dice, invest in crypto, take a chance on buying a business or starting up a business, that energy will show up in the 5th house. Now, additionally, because real estate is the 4th house and the 5th house is the second from the 4th house, so in derivative houses, we are deriving charts from the individual houses. So the second from the 4th house would be money derived from real estate. And so if you work in real estate, if you work in construction, if you do anything basically in the trades, or you do home decor, or you rent out part of your house, that all would be covered by the 5th house, or at least the money derived from those activities would be covered by the 5th house. Then there's the 8th house. Now, the 8th house is money from business. It is money from investments. It is money from partnerships. It's also inheritance, gifts, royalties, residuals, passive income sources, and the lottery. Now, the lottery is different than speculation for the 5th house. That type of speculation in the 5th house is more like poker, where you are head-to-head against another individual or the house. versus the lottery where there is mutual betting that happens and then someone walks away with the prize. And then this is money from partnerships that includes marriage, and that's because the 7th house is your partner, the person that you marry or your business partner, and then in derivative houses, the 2nd from the 7th, which is the 8th house, would be money derived from partnership. And then there is the 11th house, and the 11th house is money derived from career. So again, we're using derivative houses. The 10th house is your career, and so the 2nd from the 10th would be money derived from career. And that would include working for somebody else or doing some sort of contract work, especially if you're in some sort of temp agency where you're going from business to business. This is also, though, for people who work in their own business, but they are integral for that business, such as a doctor whose name is on the plaque. And so if the doctor's not there, there is no business. Or people like studio musicians, where it's gig after gig, but it's more treated like a job, where there are certain hours that they have to show up and do whatever they're doing. So there is a little bit of a fine line on the contract work. Sometimes that will appear more as 8th house, sometimes it's more 11th house. But in general, what we look at is if you have a well-disposed 11th house, you're more likely to work for someone else. If your 8th house is a better house, better based on the planets that are there and the aspects that they're making, then you're more inclined to have your own business. And then the next step will be to look at the planets in those houses and what houses they rule, and then also the sign on the cusp and where that planet is, because that house will give you more information about the money you can attract. And we will talk about that in future videos. And that's it. I put out an illustrated newsletter once a week, and if you like astrology and you love black cats, this is something you'll want to subscribe to. There's a link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.